Today we're going to be diving into the world of big wall solo climbing. Let's have a look at 2 ascents that I have made over the years. A lot of people know Freerider. It became famous because of Free Solo and Alex Honnold. Before this, it's had a very, very long history, and at the time of climbing Freerider or soloing Freerider, I basically wanted to try and become the first person to climb El Cap in a single day, all free, by myself. So that was the kind of goal, that was the kind of challenge, and then Freerider offered me this option to do that. So let's take a look at how I managed it. So this is El Cap. Massive, 3,000 feet. It's big. Yeah, and with climbing the route and climbing Freerider, essentially, I wanted to make it as safe as possible for myself, and to do this, you use a technique called rope soloing. So you climb by yourself, and you belay yourself. But you are climbing with a rope, essentially. And that is great, but it also brings in many kind of different hassles or nuances or annoyances, one could say, about climbing like this. So you can see as I'm climbing, I'm having to self-belay myself. So you're obviously staying safe with the rope, but you're having to manage the rope. You don't have that person at the bottom to belay you, basically. So when you're actually on really difficult sections of climbs, that's when you really notice that rope soloing is essentially quite difficult, because you can be mid-move, really cruxing out, crimping, and then you short rope yourself, and then you're having to self-belay yourself as you mid-crux. So yeah, with this, you can see all of this initial footage is actually through the night, and I decided that I was going to climb through the night because it's California. I think it was November, maybe it was November when I did this, but it was still really hot during the day, and because there's some tricky pitches on Freerider, I wanted to make sure that I had the best conditions on the hardest pitches. So there's one pitch in the middle called the Boulder Problem, which gets 7C plus sport grade, or maybe it's a V7 boulder, but it's quite crimpy and technical, and you just want the friction to be quite good when you get there. So climbing through the night was important. You don't want the heat of the Californian sun on you. Yeah, so here I'm actually on the monster off width, and it says it's pitch 20, and I was starting to feel tired and struggle, which is not a good sign, is it? Because this was actually all the easy climbing of Freerider is basically to the monster off width. I mean, there's some tricky slabs slow down, but they're like pitch 4 or something. So yeah, it doesn't bode well when you're really tired and you're only halfway up at the mountain.
Hey, it's December, and that means it's nearly Christmas, and that means that you need lots of chalk, and we have lots of chalk. And if you buy lots of chalk from us, then we'll give you lots of deals, up to 35% off if you buy in bulk. 16 packs, we put the price down to under $16 a pack. That's 35% off. Over $150 if you order more than $150 from us. That's free shipping. That's 2 deals. That's lots of deals in one purchase. That's what I call a white Christmas.
If I'm going for a big climb and I'm starting late at night, then usually what I'll do is I'll have a power nap during the day. It's kind of one of those things, if you're going to have a late night out or something, go for a quick power nap, and then you can ride it out and you can see the whole way through. So most likely before this was quite a long time ago. This was 2016, was it? Or 2017? Can't remember, one of the two. 2016 maybe. And So I can't quite remember, but I probably had a power nap in the tent. So before I climbed Freerider, I had climbed it once in 2014. Me and Tom climbed it together, sort of big wall style, over 4 days. And then I'd climbed it once in a day with a partner on this same trip. And then I'd abseiled down the route once and worked the crux pitch, or a couple of the crux pitches. So I'd been on the route 3 times before going for this rope solo. It is funny, it says on the screen I feel absolutely papped. I don't know if is papped like British? Papped is like you've been papped, like paparazzi'd, but in my family papped means exhausted. Is that normal? I don't know. Is that normal? Papped? No. It means tired. That's what I mean. Papped, tired. So this is a really nice thing about rope soloing. This is one really good thing about rope soloing, actually. I mean, there's lots of good things, but this is one of them. You don't have to take loads of quick draws, and you can just clip in with a single beaner, and you don't have to manage like rope drag so much and all that kind of stuff, because the rope that comes from the belay to you is like a static fixed piece of rope, and then your free rope doesn't actually get clipped through the pieces of gear. So I'm not going to explain how that all works on this video, but basically you don't get rope drag when you're rope soloing, which is an absolute winner. You get many other annoyances, but rope drag is not one of them. So that's the famous karate kick, which Alex Honnold talks a lot about in Free Solo. Did it look karate-like? I don't know. Not sure. Yeah, when you get to here, then it's like, it's over. Jugs.
Somebody else does, part of the hauling. They belay you. They take some of the leads.
And there's the filmer. Can you see him in the corner there?
Do everything. You have to belay yourself, clean the pitches yourself.
So yeah, what I'm talking about here is sort of like the process of climbing alone on a wall, and the difference of going with a partner and going by yourself. And I mean, the real big differences are, like, you have to do everything. You can't, like, split the load with your climbing partner. You can't just be like, oh, go on, you take this lead. Like, you're up, you have to do every single lead. And also you can't, like, bat ideas backwards and forwards, or, like, sequences or beta or whatever it might be. You have to do everything. Which can be good, but in general, like, it's usually good to have a partner there to kind of like exchange those ideas and things. So here I'm like near the top, pitch 35. I'm just absolutely beasted. Also, the thing with rope soloing is that because you don't have a second person coming up to clean the gear, you have to then go back down to clean the pitch and then Jumar back up. So you're basically having to like lead rope solo the whole of El Cap, abseil it and clean it, and Jumar the whole of El Cap. So it's like it's kind of quite tiring. It's like a laborious, is that word? Laborious. I'm not sure. It's labour intensive. It's a labour intensive way of climbing. So at the top I was really, really tired. I mean, these are easy cracks, and I was just like puffing my way up them.
Pete's Ascent will have its place in the history books because it was the first time that it's been done in this style on El Cap. All three in a day on an established El Cap route.
Made it to the top. Oh, I can barely do anything. So tired.
So with the whole rope soloing thing, I got into rope soloing for this specific project. It wasn't like I seeked out rope soloing and then decided to do this. I was kind of like, I had this goal in mind. I wanted to free El Cap. I wanted to do it in 24 hours, and I wanted to solo it. And then rope soloing was the key ingredient for me to be able to do that. So then, because of that, then I just like started to learn how to rope solo. And in typical me fashion, I actually had a project out on the gritstone that I was trying at the time, and I was just like, well, I don't have anybody to come and belay me on it, so I'll just go and try that. And it was an unrepeated E8 on the gritstone. So I went and climbed it and had an absolutely like rope soloing nightmare when I was on it. And I just had like, I had loads of rope drag at the top, and rope drag is something that you don't get when you're rope soloing. That basically just did it all wrong. Had a complete nightmare. I managed to get up this route, managed to get up this E8 climb, but that was my first ever rope solo. And I learned a lot from that, and I learned that you should go on something easier, basically, as your first thing. And then after that, I went to Squamish because I thought I need to practice my changeovers, my systems, and actually climb like a few pitches. It's no good just climbing one pitch or two pitches or multiple pitches on the gritstone. I need to get a feel of what rope soloing feels like climbing on bigger walls. So I went to Squamish and I practiced on the Chief, which is a famous cliff there, and just practiced my systems, changeovers, and then I took all of what I'd learned and then just went for it on El Cap and see what happens. So this next rope solo is on a cliff called Blaumann, which is in the north of Norway, and this is actually a recent rope solo that I did this year. And I hadn't rope soloed for maybe a good few years, and I certainly hadn't done any like big rope soloing for like a good number of years, so I was kind of keen to just like dip my toe back in a little bit and just have a cool experience and just have a good climb by myself and just just go and climb this cool wall in the north of Norway on my own. So that was really the motivation behind it, to be fair. Just go and have a fun experience. And here we go, let's take a look.
Okay folks, major error. As you can see, I forgot the pin to attach the GoPro to the mount.
So with this climb, I was actually trying to like film and climb and obviously rope solo, direct film, like all these things. And I remember getting to the bottom of the where the snow patch is, and I'd forgot the pin to attach the GoPro to the helmet. And obviously, like, you're there rope soloing, you're by yourself, you don't have anybody to film you. It's like really important that you can attach the GoPro to your helmet. So I was like, oh my god, what an absolute nightmare. And then I just ended up just like wrapping just tape around it. But the problem is with those GoPros, like when you tape it on, then you can't get to the battery properly. And I didn't have that much tape, so then you'd have to untape everything, take it off. Oh, it's just a complete disaster. Anyway, I managed to make it work, and we have a video. I didn't lose the GoPro when we were on the climb, so that was good. But at the beginning of the climb, there was like a little bit of loose rock right at the beginning, which kind of caught me a little bit off guard with this route. So I had actually done this climb, 6 years ago, with Mari, with my girlfriend, and we just climbed it like normally, leading and seconding like a normal person would. And I've kind of forgotten like how involved the first pitch was. It really caught me by surprise. I was like, holy smokes, like I was like having to pull properly hard. But that is the thing about this wall. It's not very big, so I think maximum it goes up to maybe 12 pitches at the highest point. I think this one was 10, can't quite remember. But it's not big in terms of like big walls, but it really like packs a punch, There's no like gentle ease into it, or there's no like ramble off the top. It's kind of like you get to the base and you pull, and you get to the top and you pull over the top. There's no stuff in between. And also the easiest routes you have to be climbing like 7B on trad to get up there, so it's not an easy wall. The route that I'm on is one of the easier ones, so I think there's 2 on the wall that are 7B, and then this is one of them.
Got my belay here, set it up, got a green and a red, and I'm just about to abseil down, back down there to...
Yeah, so here I'm talking about my systems and my belays, it's obviously really important that, you know, when you're on these kind of missions and you're climbing by yourself, that you have it like nicely, you have things nice and organized, and your systems kind of dialed. One, to like make things smooth. Well, actually, I'm going to turn that the other way around. One, to make sure like safety, because you don't want like extra bits of rope dangling around and all this kind of stuff. You just don't want to make any mistakes. And then two, to keep things organized. So that's always the first thing, just making sure that everything's safe, and you know, you're doing things properly, and there's no loose end of ropes that you can abseil off the end or anything like that. So this one is actually the Crux pitch, which gets the 7B, and yeah, it's not. It was a bit more tricky. I guess it's not too bad, but it was a bit more tricky than I remember than climbing it with a partner. Yeah, definitely like a little bit pumped and having to work on it. But it's like that thing with rope soloing. It just self-belaying yourself. It's just an annoyance. At the time, you wonder why you do it. But then it's also really good, like going out into the mountains and kind of having these experiences by yourself and just going climbing, and it's really good.
Really long pitch. That much rope left, just a little pile. It's a centimetre rope, so I think the next pitch looks right. Just have to figure out exactly where to go, but I'm pretty sure it's on the command system. So it had some funny description in the guidebook of down there of like step right, and I didn't quite understand what was step right, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that whole step right thing was about. It was basically follow a corner system. Yeah, and also, interesting thing here, again, I climbed overnight on this one. It doesn't look like it's overnight, but we're really far into the north of Norway. So you have like this midnight sun. I think I climbed this in, was it June? It was either June or July, can't remember. But yeah, you have this midnight sun, and it got to the point I was like, blooming heck, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, I feel like I'm getting burnt. I'm not used to it. Because it certainly doesn't look like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning here. Oh yeah, and then the guidebook said something about a jump on this pitch, so I was like looking for this jump. And I hate jumps, I'm not very good at jumping. So anything could be a jump, you know, you'd be looking at something, you'd be like, am I jumping over there? Is that where the jump is meant to be?
Did your parkour experience help you with this jump?
My parkour experience definitely helped me with the jump, yeah. No, the jump was pretty straightforward, but I think this is always the thing with like, even though this route is, I would say, probably reasonably well travelled, like look, many parties probably go up here every year. You're still kind of like feel like, oh, am I taking this corner here or am I taking this corner? I remember starting up this one corner, I'm like, oh no, I've gone the wrong way. It kind of looks cleaner, but actually you were meant to take the dirty corner. To always take the dirty corner. Maybe that's the key. So this is the jump, which is basically just like, it looks way worse on the video, but it's actually not that bad. You basically jump from this high ledge and then down onto this low ledge. The one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to short rope yourself, because I had a bit of gear which was like foot level and then down on the other side of the ledge. Then if you short roped yourself and then jumped onto the ledge, you just get pulled backwards and then just like get a spin around the other way. It'd be a horrible fall into the corner. So yeah, if you're doing things like that, make sure you pull out lots of slack, or even if you're with a climbing partner, just make sure that they give you slack. And I think a good thing to do is just like hold the slack in your hand, like they do in the Czech Republic, you know, like when they're jumping from tower to tower, they pull out the slack and then they like launch themselves across. And yeah, so at the top of the wall it gets more like terrain that I love, like moss and grass, things like that, you know. And I was also starting to get really dehydrated because I do this every time to myself. Like, I don't take enough water. It's so I don't know why I do this. Yeah, it's not good. But then I was just like trying to take my mind off drinking water. Next time I go rope soloing, I'm not forgetting. I'm taking enough water.
I need a drink.
It can never be as bad as the time I soloed the nose with 1 litre of water though. That was a low point in my dehydration life. I was like halfway up and I'd long since finished my water. It was an absolute nightmare.
Topped out. Hi. Stop time. 8:40. There we go. No idea whether the camera's still going or not. I think it's still recording.
Yeah, so topped out, I'm not sure, it was probably like 8 o'clock in the morning or something. And then I actually met somebody at the top who, it was really funny, he knew who I was. And then we got chatting a little bit, and then I managed to get a lift back to where I was going, which was fantastic. It worked out really well.
Recognised me from these videos, so Lewis, maybe you're actually watching this video right now, but I'm going to try and catch you up because you've offered me a lift, and I'm psyched for that. Thank you very much.
You done big wall rope soloing that's not just in a day.
Have I done big wall rope soloing that's not in a day? It's all in a day. Everything in a day. So whether it's 2 big walls or 1 big wall, it's all just like in a day. Yeah, because then you don't have to take anything with you, like water. It maybe it'd be better if I took more with me, but you don't have to haul basically. Yeah, so you can just climb, and climbing's great. So yeah,
Beautiful. That's great. One thing, oh my god, I'm cracking and I didn't get up. Well, you're talking about, maybe this can be a bonus roll clip quickly. You're talking about how much you love moss, climbing moss.
Mm.
And this is the first ever video that I edited of you while I was with Hot X.
So I'm expanding on my love of moss and wet cracks. I think in general it's good for the soul, you know, to be just in a wet, mossy crack. I feel like it brings out the best in any climber. Many people will say they hate it, but deep down, they're having a really good time. And I can also often feel like I'm hating it, but deep down, and a lot of time on the surface, I'm loving it.
It's probably not gonna rip my
See, look at me, I'm laughing there. I'm laughing and having a great time, even though I'm drawing blood. God, I look young. I'm old these days, aren't I? Classic. Probably didn't have a clue back then with what I was doing or taping up, and it's that classic thing of, I always tell like my crack school students, tape up before you go crack climbing and not after. That is the biggest mistake you can make, because after you're sticking tape over the wounds. That's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm telling my old self now to tape up before you go crack climbing.
Why did he do this?
This?
Yeah.
Why did I go up here and do this? Well, actually, when I went climbing on this day, I was up there for a different route, but I wasn't expecting it to be so wet. Then because I was up there, and it's also like quite a long walk to get to where I was here, I was like, oh, well, I have to do something. I can't walk all this way for nothing. So then I ended up climbing this horrible wet crack. Yeah. Pretty awful.